Terrific. So Steve, in that conversation, we've been talking about your program for advisors that want to start up their own business.
Yeah.
And you're talking about hypergrowth. Can you explain what that is?
Yeah, sure. Well, firstly, thanks very much for your time. I really appreciate it. Firstly, a person starting a business from scratch, especially when they haven't had any experience running a business, is difficult. The statistics point to failure almost every time for new startups. But typically, advisors who want to run their own show want to limit their risk by finding a group of clients who can pay them. But where are they? So the advisor typically thinks, I have to purchase a book of clients to get me started. Now, before we start talking about hypergrowth, we have to talk about what's happening in the industry purely from a business owner's perspective. The most aggressive segment of our industry are the aggregators. And these are people purchasing practices and folding those purchases into their own existing business. And this strategy isn't new, but it's extremely effective. But we haven't seen the scale of these types of purchases before, from large, insatiable practices. It's almost predatory. It's very difficult to compete with an aggregator when you're looking to purchase a financial planning book, because they already have scale. They have an entire framework and an established funding facility. That's why they can outbid a one-man advisor in a one-man band. Also, most businesses are sold through a broker of some kind, and I include licensees here. And these brokers have a list of aggregators in their stable. They're larger advice businesses. And the broker knows they have the funding and capacity to do the deal. So brokers have their favorite clients, licensees have their favorite ARs. A lot of the time you can't get past the brokers because it's an easy deal for the broker to go for the low-hanging fruit. So to win that auction, if you're the broker wanting to buy this book, you have to compete with the aggregators. So you're paying top dollar. If you're successful at buying a book, let's say a trail of 100 grand, pick a figure, you then have debt to service of 300 grand over 10 years. And let's ignore for a minute, there's the fact that it's a 70% lend, because you're still going to find the other 30% from somewhere, right? So that comes out of your mortgage or from savings, wherever it is. And an annoying technicality of that strategy arises when you start to receive your trail from your licensee, and your licensee takes a percentage of the trail every month that you just bought. So you just bought your book for 3 times, and your licensee is taking a percentage of that, maybe 5 or 10%. Now, don't forget it, and also don't forget an ever-increasing portion of your repayments are principal, which bites into your disposable income, and that amount grows every year. So, Darren, to answer your question, what is Hypergrowth? Hypergrowth is a program that allows an advisor to start their advice business from scratch with the knowledge that they're not alone. They have an endless pipeline of new prospects to talk to. Hypergrowth takes you from startup to a mid-size advice business with mentoring, a high level of sales training, tailored systems to address administration, compliance, staffing, all the usual stuff. And your revenue is determined by you. You don't have to mortgage your home.
Yeah. So that's good. Thanks. So so what's it actually look like in a practice? And I guess the reality is, what's the deal?
Okay. We'll get to the syntax. Well, what we do is we start with a pilot program where the advisor is provided with a volume of leads for a period of time that we agree on. Typically, 1 to 3 months, and it depends. Then the parties agree to enter into an equal partnership JV. So this pilot is an opportunity for both parties to decide if they can work together. It allows us to share sales systems with the advisor. It allows the advisor to develop skills to deal with large volumes of leads. And there are particular skills that are required to be able to do that. But what it also does is it reveals what systems, as we go along, need to be added to the program.
Okay. And that's really helpful for the back office setup, so to speak. But
Yep.
at the end of the day, where do the leads come from?
Another good question. The leads come from ConnectU. Now, ConnectU is the lead generation business that supplies the leads. They've been supplying leads to advisors, to brokers, to accountants by creating bespoke national marketing campaigns. Now, the operators of ConnectU have decades of experience building campaigns for clients that are invited to participate. That's a very important thing to know, that they're invited to participate. And we'll touch on that a little bit later on, how that works. Some past clients to note are Wesfarmers Federation Insurance, Core Concepts, IC Frith, Crow Hallworth, which is now Findex, and many other smaller boutique sort of businesses. Now, ConnectU provides the advisor partner with a volume of leads. Now, it's important to know, these are income protection leads that the advisors feel like they can work with each week. We don't want to flood them with leads, but we need the advisor to find their equilibrium. But it's common for these numbers to increase over time as the advisor builds their skills and processes are streamlined. Now, because the volume of leads is so large, we have to run a no advice strategy for these leads, which is another important thing to understand. We also have to service these prospects using technology rather than face-to-face meetings. So that means phone calls, text, Zoom, Teams, FaceTime, as much technology as we can use. Now, remember, the objective here is to grow the client base as quickly as possible. Okay, the advice piece can come after the clients have been secured.
Okay, yeah, and the revenue from the joint venture, how does that play out?
Well, another good question. ConnectU are responsible for the costs associated with developing and delivering leads to the advisor. The advisor is responsible for the costs associated with onboarding prospects. At the end of the month, the net commission after dealer costs and other associated costs will be split equally between the two parties and distributed to the two parties. After, say, 12 months, we start to see trailing commission flow. And it's expected that this commission will be used to assist with the cost of staffing, administration, CRM development, Facebook and Instagram remarketing campaigns, that type of thing. So it's a genuine partnership.
Okay, that sounds good. With the various stages of your business growth, can you break that down a little bit for me?
Yeah, sure. So obviously, initially, we have Kickstarter. So this is the initial phase where the advisor is taught the fundamental sales techniques that all the very best advisors use. It's a time that can be stressful because your training and development involved with dealing with live prospects, a large number of live prospects, and that I would expect that term to be around 12 to 18 months. It depends on the particular advisor at the time. After that, we're looking at calibrating. So it's calibration. We're looking at fine tuning of systems, fine tuning of processes, including sales technique. Maybe fine tuning some of the technique that the advisor should be using as the portfolio grows. So that's about the 18 months to 2 year mark. And once we're calibrated, after we're running really smoothly, we have acceleration. And at that point, all systems are already in place and the advisor has a good grasp of all the elements required for accelerated growth. So we push harder and we leverage off staff and technology to achieve hypergrowth. Mm-hmm. So then that puts the advisor in a really good position, because after that, we look at control. And this can come anytime, but typically after the 3 year mark, the advisor has the option to buy out their partner. And off they go, or they can continue. It's really going to be up to them.
Okay, that old saying, "Skin in the game,"
Yep.
which Australians like to use. Generally, both parties have something to lose, not necessarily. because if there's a gain, there's a loss possibly. The banks won't lend 100% upfront,
Yep.
And they may lend 30% as such. So there's obviously an incentive, and I get that. That makes sense. Where's the skin in the game for the advisor?
Okay, that's a great question, and it's something that we need to be understood very clearly by our potential partner. Anything worthwhile requires real effort and commitment. So we'll be asking our partner to work entrepreneur hours, not employee hours. It's your business, and we treat it like our business. We expect you to run it like a business as well. It's not going to be easy, and there will be times when they struggle to keep up. It'll be tough, especially in the early days. But the rewards are certainly there. I might just touch on one other thing. So there is definitely a plan for the advisor to take over. Now, that could be anywhere from 3 to 5 years, 7 years, whatever. But what it means is that when the advisor takes over, it's an orderly process. It's very civilized. It's a predetermined handover. So there's none of the anxiety around finding a practice to buy, bidding for the practice, transferring clients to you, wondering if you've bought an overvalued or underperforming book. There's no stress about the seller contacting your clients after you've sold. You don't have to worry about opt-out letters being sent to your new clients. There's no exit audit by your licensee, and there's no attrition. Your clients don't fall off because they're actually your clients.
Okay. Yep. That's very interesting. So a potential advisor, how do they get hold of you? Is it a website, Facebook? What's the best way to get hold of you guys?
Well, that's an interesting question, and it does confuse some people. So we don't have a website or Facebook, and we don't market that way. Our preferred method of operating is the same method that we use for lead generation. We want to determine who we deal with, and I'm sure you can understand that there's no shortage of people wanting qualified leads.
Sure.
But the last thing we want is to be inundated with people wanting 2 or 3 leads, especially when we don't know them. So the likelihood is, if you're watching this, someone that we trust has already spoken to you about us. So we've already come to you that way. But if that's not the case, my email address is steve@connectu, that's CONNECTU.au. And that's really the best contact. But as I said, for example, if it's someone coming from you, Darren, then we already know and trust you, so it gives us comfort in dealing with them because it's come that way.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It does. It's that level of trust because of how the advisor has been introduced to yourselves. So there's a level of trust already built there.
Yep. One thing I didn't touch on is there's no caps either. So we're not, it's a genuine partnership. So we're not, there's no caps on earnings for the advisor, because if we put a cap on the advisor, we'd have to put a cap on ourselves, and we're not going to do that either. So it really is a sky's the limit sort of situation.
Sure.
And that's what we're trying to build.
Excellent.
Does that make sense?
It does. That's come across really clear. No, I like that. Thanks, Steve. Appreciate that. That just helps get a better understanding of what it is and how it works. And yeah, thank you. Appreciate your time, mate.
Yeah, mate. Darren, thanks for all your help, mate. Really appreciate it.
Cheers.
Catch you later. Bye.